Call the order the public hearing between the village board and plan commission. Roll call, please.
All right. Public hearing and plan commission at the Richard Young Fire Station on April 23rd, 2025. I've got 6:31. President Gerke,
Here.
trustee Baum,
Here.
trustee Beal. Here. Commissioner Aelhoffen,
Here.
Commissioner Eberly,
Here.
Commissioner Howard,
Here.
Commissioner McCormick,
Here.
Planner Sumwalt,
Here.
Attorney Larson,
Here.
Engineer Lysis is present and in the audience, Administrator Green,
Here.
and Clerk Capazzo to record the minutes.
All right, notice was given that the public hearing will be held by the Lisbon Village Board and Plan Commission tonight on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, during the regular Plan Commission meeting, which starts at 6:30 at the fire station to solicit public comments on the following items. Hearing one is a request by John Spitz and the Spitz Family Limited Partnership to rezone the property located at W270 and 6196 Marine Drive with Lisbon tax key number 0258.999.001 from the R3 two-family residential district to the PR Park and Recreational District to allow its attachments to the surrounding golf course.
Warren, you want to start us off?
Yes. So the petitioner has submitted several applications that all revolve around incorporating or attaching a parcel that they have owned for some time into the golf course itself. The parcel would be this R3 zoned parcel on the screen here that shows up in red, which is surrounded by green, which would be the rest of the golf course property. The petitioner in December of 2024 raised the old farmhouse that was on this property. There are also several outbuildings from the previous farm, which have been used for various storage capacities as part of the golf course operations. So some of what we're doing will be formalizing, again, this property and its buildings into the golf course's plan of operations. The petitioner would also like to build a new detached accessory structure on this parcel in the location of the old farmhouse, which necessitated some of these updates that we're going to be doing as well. So that's what all of these various applications boil down to, is that we're just trying to accomplish bringing this into the golf course operation. The petitioner is present. If there are any specific questions for them, or if the Plan Commission has any questions for me, I'd be happy to help answer those.
I was just going to ask, and I think this is maybe where you're going. I mean, we have the rezone and then we have the conditional use permit, and they're kind of obviously related. And do we have do the public hearings need to be distinct and separate?
They do.
So we can only talk about the rezoning
Yeah,
during the
this should
first?
just be the rezone, but we should open the public hearing before we hear from the petitioner. And I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to be heard, but my recommendation would be to open the public hearing by a motion, or you can just announce that the public hearing is open.
All right, so you have a new village president, new attorney, new everything else. So I'm going to be fine with just announcing that it's open unless the commission has an objection to that. Okay, all right, and you're,
Yeah.
okay. So then,
So we're just announced that we're opening the public hearing on hearing number one.
all right, so we're opening the hearing number one in regards to the rezone of the property. The next hearing will deal more so with the conditional use permit. So is there anyone, should we hear from the petitioner, or do we hear?
We can hear from the petitioner first, and then anyone else who wants to be heard. Should probably come up to the microphone so that it can be recorded. And begin by stating your name. And do we get an address? Name and address.
All right, I'm supposed to do that. My name is John Spitz. I gotta look up my address for my. Chapel Hill Drive. At north. West 270, west 269, north 6389, Chapel Hill Drive.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm the owner of the golf course. This whole issue started with the demise of a pole building that occupied a blind corner on the entry to the golf course. And I met with the planning staff a year and a half ago, and they said, well, you have to go through this procedure to take this building and switch its location. If you were putting it in a like to like right on the same footprint, it wouldn't require this. I said, well, that would continue the hazard of going around a turn and being blindsided. So if I'm gonna incur the expense of rebuilding this structure, I'd like to put it away from that corner. Well, then that necessitated, I talked to the planner and the staff, and they said, well, you gotta go through this, and this. In the meantime, then it was brought to my attention that the historic farmhouse, which we've tried to upkeep, but spent a significant amount of money, and it started failing on the inside. Got quotes from reconstructing it internally, and it was prohibitive. And so I gained a permit from the village, I was gonna say town, but the village, from Brian. And we demoed the farmhouse last November, it was, in anticipation of moving the pole barn closer to our existing maintenance facility there and taking the blind corner away there, demolishing ultimately the pole building that's failing. These commercial buildings that are occupied by employees, so they have to meet certain standards, so we had to make a decision in that regard. So that's when we got into the discussion, well, what is this zoned? And I didn't realize that when we purchased it, I just bought it from Bill because he originally CSM'd off this 2 acres. He wanted to stay living there for a while, and then when he decided to move, he said, well, you wanna buy this or not? And based on the entryway there, I had no real choice. I didn't wanna argue with the new owner about the entry of people at 5 in the morning to mow greens, et cetera. So I purchased the property, and then we used that pole building, assuming that it was we could use it in the same capacity that Bill Winkleman had used it. Well, come to find out that the R3 zoning, it was a duplex, actually him and his, siblings occupied the 2 sides back in the day. So that's why it's R3. And so I was told, well, you gotta rezone that and make it part of the golf course property. And while you're at it, make sure that you change all the ownership entities of the parcels from the golf course into one singular entity. So we went and had that done. And we went and had a surveyor survey the 2 parcels, or the 2 parcels, one to join to the other with a CSM, and had those renamed or reestablished in the same Spitz Family Partnership or whatever it's called. When we bought this property way back in the 90s, it was just my wife and I, and then there was Lisbon Land Partnership, and then it was the trust or whatever. So that's why there's different names to parcels. They're the same ownership. So we had the attorney take care of that. So they're all named the same entity per the request of the village. And so now we stand before you asking that this rezoning be approved so that that orange becomes green and becomes part of the golf course that's been there for the better part of 30 years. That's the formality of it. The part beyond that is to gain permission to reconstruct the pole barn further tighter to the maintenance area and eliminate the blind corner there by demolishing the now failing pole barn. It's met those things fail after so many years. They're not built like a castle. So that's the whole history of what transpired here and why we're here this evening to consider the part about the rezoning, which I think is fairly straightforward. We have to join that parcel to another one legally, and that's been done in, the legal description and the survey. And then we've provided information regarding the siting of that proposed pole building, for, just so you understand why we're doing this, and hopefully we don't have to go through this exercise again if there's no objection. We're not, there was some rumor we were creating a restaurant. When you send out these notices, it gets a little like napalm in the wind. And so it's a formality as far as this rezone goes, and then permission to move forward with moving that building, not physically moving it, build a new one, take the contents of the existing building out of there and then demolish that blind corner. Cause we were hoping that eventually this hill would get mowed down on MD and that would be our formal entrance, but that's not gonna happen in my lifetime, so I'm facing the music. Any questions?
And to the extent that, I mean, everyone's else is gonna kind of merge everything, but if to the extent that we can keep it on the rezoning at this point, any questions on that?
Thank you for the
Thank you.
context.
I apologize for the length of it.
No, we needed the
There's a lot of
context. Thank
history
you.
here.
Well, I guess, are you doing all four part? Are you merging all of them together or just the little one into a,
Well,
cause it looks like you have
the
four.
farmhouse, we secured a permit and demolished it because it was no longer fit to be used. It was you can't put people in there,
Yeah.
so Brian gave us a permit and we executed that, and then the sequence would be to take that lower right-hand corner building, that pole building, and demolish it once the newer one was built, because it's full of lawnmowers and stuff, and I gotta find a place to put them. And so if you built the other building, then you'd move the stuff in there and then demolish that and just create, so you can see around the corner when you're turning around there. The whole thing goes way, way back to not being able to access MD because of the topography,
Yeah,
the site distance, if you would. So we're where we are, and it doesn't look like in the foreseeable future, they're gonna mow that hill down. Or reduce the speed limit, if you would, to gain the site, the site distance necessary to turn into the golf course on where it was planned originally. That being said, I'm kind of left with not a lot of choices. It was the same thing when Bill said, hey, I'll sell this back to you. Well, what was I gonna say? No?
All right, anyone from the public wish to make any comments? No. All right,
No one present on Zoom other than staff.
okay, so if there are no additional comments, I will close the public hearing number 1. And we will open public hearing number 2, which is request by John Spitz and the Spitz Family Limited Partnership to amend the existing conditional use permit for a golf course, restaurant, and tavern for Ironwood Golf Course located at W270 North 6166 Moraine Drive to facilitate the attachment and inclusion of the neighboring 2.1 acre parcel located at W270 and 6196 Moraine Drive, Lisbon tax key number 0258.999.001 for golf course purposes. So John, I think you did a pretty good job of kind of giving us the whole background. But is there anything else that you wish to state in regards to the conditional use permit and amending that?
I'd like to state that we're not changing any of the golf course operations at all. The word restaurant in there maybe confuses people. We have to get permission to cook hot dogs on a roller thing there, and we have a license to do that and comply with that, same as the liquor license. So there's no, the restaurant aspect of it. We don't run a restaurant and we never will, for a multitude of reasons. But, we're not changing anything except logistically, we'd like to tighten our maintenance area by moving this building or building a new one and demolishing the one that's on the bend there. That's the only change. There's no change in the procedures or anything else that goes on the golf course. Our hours of operation are the same. Our business plan's the same. Our number of employees are the same. It's been almost 30 years of the same situation. So the plan of operation change is only instigated by trying to add this parcel to the park and rec zoning instead of the R3. It will make no difference in our operations whatsoever.
So this is on point, but yet not extremely relevant, but you've kind of said, moving the building and then demoing the building. Just for clarification, are you using the structure of the existing building at the new location?
No.
Okay, all right.
The situation is that I have to construct a new building to house the contents that are in the building to be demolished. Therefore, I'd like permission to put this building in the former location of the house so that once it's built, then they can take the contents, which are really not good to be stored outside, into the new building and then demolish the failing pole barn on that blind corner. That's the reason for the sequence. In addition to that, we intend to demolish the little blacksmith's house there, but I didn't want to confuse the issue by saying, oh, what about this, So,
Orin, do you want to give your presentation like you did for the rezoning?
Sure. So again, as John stated, nothing is changing with the rest of the operation. We are attaching this parcel to the rest of the golf course. And because there is a new property that's going to be a part of the existing CU, we need to do the amendment to the CU. And again, there will be a site plan of operation component that we'll talk about in a little bit. That'll get into some more of the details of this, but again, if you look at some of the conditions of approval, the main thing that I just wanted to point out was that and I should have brought this up for the rezoning as well. Condition 3 states that this is subject to the review and recommendation of the Lisbon-Merton Joint Planning Committee. This is in the joint planning area. That meeting took place last night and was recommended for approval. So that has happened. So again, this is just about attaching this parcel and making it a part of the existing conditional use permit that was already out there so that the buildings can again be part of the plan of operation for this business.
Anyone from the public have any comments? All right, John, if you can.
Before we are done with the owner, can I ask a question? Have you reviewed the staff report on this?
no,
Okay. Are any of these conditions different than what are currently on the property?
These might be worded differently in that the boilerplate conditions that we use, the language might be different from what it was previously when this was originally approved. But we're not adding any new significant conditions that pertain to the existing operations. No, this is.
So anything that John's been able to do for the last however many years, there's not gonna be a surprise that we're trying to
The way that we've worded this is that the existing conditional use remain in effect except as further modified or restricted herein by this document.
I'm going to show you the conditions, and while we're listening from the public, maybe you can just review them.
Attorney Larson, the agenda and copies of all of the staff reports are emailed out to the applicants on the Friday prior to every meeting.
We just need to know whether you're prepared to accept those conditions. It's just start down there where it says conditions, yeah.
So we can give you a couple of minutes. John will have comments up here and then, oh, yeah, go ahead.
If, the original premise that we, that this was started with was to be able to move forward with replacing this building in this site here, and we furnished information regarding, had meetings and such, and then it was brought to our attention just a week or so ago that, well, how come you don't have the building plans here? And we were counseled that we should treat this separately, which I agree to. You have to do the rezoning, et cetera. But then do we have to go through this, pardon the word, exercise again to gain that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So you're,
That was my biggest
Yeah.
concern, that we have to do this all over
the
again.
documentation you provided is part of the site plan of operation packet
Okay,
material.
I
So
saw
that-
this. Okay, let me continue reading here.
Yep.
I wish it was April and Wood here.
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
Okay, just curious, from start to finish, how long do you think it's going to take to do this project?
Well, I'd like to have it take 10 minutes, but
Well, sure.
my issue is that, getting the approvals and such. Now I've got a potential, pole barn contractor that says, well, give me a third down once you get your approvals. And I said, okay, as soon as I know that I'm allowed to build
Well,
this.
yes, but once you
So
start
he-
digging,
Once, well, it's slab on grade, so there's
Slab,
not a lot of digging, but, it should be, I don't know, 6 weeks to 2 months. I'm at the mercy of the market right now as far as these pole barn guys, okay? And I'd like to clean the thing up and make it presentable, and then after the building is occupiable, the pole barn, get all the stuff out of the one that's falling down and demo that. That should only take a week or two. I mean, it's just a pole barn. 1, 2, 3, it's on the ground and loaded up in the dumpsters.
thank you.
But then after that, you grade out the area and kind of
Mhm.
grass it up and such. It's not, the quicker the better. Cause there's people driving by going, what's going on here, So,
Any other questions for John from the?
Done.
No one present on Zoom.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna take Kurt, you, and
I'm sorry.
Kurt will likely be joining us up at the table here next month.
Hi, Kurt Lesser, W260 North 6157 Brackman Drive. So I wanted to make a comment, and I think it was mentioned here. So when you make amendment to a conditional use permit, you are accepting the current terms of the conditional use permit. It's not grandfathered in, right? So that's why it's important to make sure that there's nothing been changed. There's been a lot of changes to ordinances recently, specifically around conditional use permits. So are the conditions currently being that are under the current golf course, the new conditions of the conditional use permit, are they meeting those conditions? So that's important for them to know that. I'm glad that you reached out to them and gave them that information. I guess the other concern I have is what is the long-term plan for this land? They're gonna add it into the golf course and they're moving buildings, removing buildings. So my question is, what is the long-term plan? And does that meet the requirements as far as getting permits to being able to erect a building on that property? I know he says it's replacing one, that he's gonna tear one down and put one back up. But the setbacks and all that, I think is concerning too, to make sure that that's all acceptable. And there is an entrance into that property for that residential property. Is that entrance going to be maintained? Or is that going to be just using the existing entrance into the golf course? I think that's a concern that I would have. And then he states that he doesn't have a restaurant, but he does serve food after golf outings. He has that shed that's up there and he caters in food and serves food. I've been present at several of those. And he does have live music there too that you can hear from the neighboring residents. So my concern is just that he knows that he has to meet the current conditions of the conditional use permit because you make an amendment. So it's not an amendment to the existing one. It's going to be an amendment to the new language associated with the ordinances. And then my other question is around getting permits to building additional structures on that property. Are there any restrictions now that it's part of this golf course? Thanks.
Lot there, but Ern, do you have anything that you want to add here or even Brian? I mean, to the extent that.
Sure,
Exist-
I would just say as far as the building goes, again, that existing building that's going to be torn down and replaced, the new building will meet the setback requirements for the zoning as proposed. Some of the existing buildings that are there, again, are already being used as part of the golf course operation for storage purposes of various items, which is kind of outlined in the site plan of operation. My understanding is that the primary access point to the golf course will remain as such, which is, again, as John stated, was one of the reasons for removing the existing pole building, also due to its age and deterioration, but it was a blind corner that will now have better visibility. As far as the old access for the former farmhouse, that's a county trunk road. The village really doesn't have jurisdiction over that access point. I guess we could ask the petitioner what your intent is, John, for that.
One of the primary uses of that road is to have the mailman have a spot where he doesn't have to deliver on the other side of the road. And we have to cross that road with a golf cart or walking to get to the mailbox. So we petitioned the post office way back when and said, hey, can we put our mailbox over here and then you can pull over in this gravel area here and drop the mail there. So once a day, somebody can go up there and get it without having to cross MD at 55 miles an hour with, the sight distance situation. So we've been using that as a means for the postman to pull over there and, where we don't have to cross the road to get the mail.
Have you had any issues with patrons using that driveway
No,
instead of the
no.
main entrance?
No, everybody prefers asphalt roadway to gravel, but it does function so we can keep our deliveries for some of the maintenance stuff in a segregated area. So there's nothing gonna change about that. It's certainly not a primary entrance and nobody uses it to turn into the golf course. We have our sign there, our monument sign, and obviously the majority of the people would rather turn into a larger asphalt roadway where there's a bypass lane and an A-cell, D-cell lane that was constructed. We don't have anybody cutting through there going, like it's a shortcut or something. We did, in addressing a different issue, we did have way back in the day, this noise issue with, the music, et cetera, or Mike Lehman when he announces an outing. And so we had John Stigler from Yaki and Yaki way back in the day do a sound test and we made sure the wind was out of the east, so it would blow toward MD. And then he had a device there to measure decibels. Mike turned the mic up all the way in. all of our speakers face out toward the golf course. That doesn't mean you can't hear it, but it falls well below the decibel rating, and that was established, I bet it was 10, 15 years ago. So, I think the dump trucks going by with the rattling tailgates and the Harley Davidson guys that create a larger decibel thing, so.
Yeah, and I think we had the joint planning committee meeting yesterday with Merton. They didn't have any concerns that they expressed, and your new subdivisions to the north there, they've come in since you were there, and Mountain Shadows to the south, I mean, that's further away, so I don't know if I see any issues there. Have there been any other complaints, I mean, about that over the years?
We have not had any complaints about the golf course since I've been the clerk for the last 4.5 years.
Or anything else from anyone on the board or plan commission?
The only thing I was gonna mention is that, if he does wanna put up another building, I think that was a question. He would have to come back here just like he's here for this building. So he wouldn't just get a permit and put up whatever buildings he felt like.
Well, I have to answer to the board, obviously, as far as the aesthetics of it and the sighting and the grading, et cetera. But,
Yeah, just addressing.
so how do I get, so I can tell this pole barn builder what sequence it takes to do that?
Call me tomorrow and we'll talk through it. First, the rezone has to be approved by this board and then get referred to the village board. Assuming that the village board approves it at their May meeting, then everything else gets approved.
Okay, but.
But everything
subsequent
is
to that, then,
approved.
Answering the question as to after this building, if there's any future.
oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm taking down, not one, not two, but I'm taking down 3 buildings and replacing one of them. And this is, now. It's, I got no interest at the tender age of 74 putting up some complex there with buildings on it.
All you gotta do is pull a building
Okay,
after all this stuff is.
okay. All right, I apologize for my miss.
No, I think there is some back and, so I think we're all on the same page that with everything that's approved tonight, that newly proposed building is approved as part of the plan of operations. Okay.
Yep, and it's
All
all
right,
contingent
it's-
upon village board approval in May.
Future after.
No, there is no future. It's just gonna be home done. Okay. No. All
Any
right.
any other comments?
Good, thank
Anything
you.
else from anyone else?
I just want to confirm, you
Yeah,
you
I read through it, but I mean, basically it's saying just, total line. I don't know how to summarize it. You do this.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
that's
you-
what we've
You
been
don't have a
doing.
problem with it? If those conditions are imposed, you'll agree to that?
Yeah, it's my understanding that a conditional use can be revoked at any time if you don't walk the walk. Right? And
That's all I wanted to
basically, this is
confirm.
all it's saying is,
Yeah.
here's the deal. I don't see anything unusual in here, but not that I have the background of an attorney. You're talking to an earthwork contractor, not an attorney. No, I
That's all
don't
I
see
have.
anything out of line. We're supposed to. I think our record somewhat speaks for itself as far as keeping law and order in the place and. Right?
I'm just checking a box on the process. State law
Okay,
requires that you have a chance to look at that and have a chance to speak to it and so it sounds like you're ready to proceed.
Right?
Right, so if there is no additional comments, I'll close the public hearing, but is there any additional comments or anyone?
No.
All right, so I'm gonna close the public hearing number 2, and we'll move on to the plan commission meeting. We already did roll call, so now item 3 on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is another chance for anyone to speak on any other topic here tonight, not specifically the items from the public hearing. All right, and hearing none, then we will move on to item 4, which we don't quite have ready yet, so we'll move on to item number 5. 5A is new business, which is discussion on necessary action on the request of John Spitz and the Spitz Family Limited Partnership for the following related to Ironwood Golf Course. Item 5AI is the rezone of the, I'll read it in, W 270 and 6196 Moraine Drive, Lisbon, tax key number 0258.999.001 from the R3 two-family residential district to the PR Park and Recreational District, and recommendation to the village board of the same. So Aaron, you made your presentation. Anything else to add, or are we? No?
Nothing else, Dad?
All right, Mitch, was there anything else that you had? No? So
Just ask if it's recommended in favor that the conditions shown in the staff report be incorporated into the recommendation.
I'll make a motion to rezone W 270 north 258999001 Northern R3 two-family residential district to the PR Park and Recreation District. And recommendation of the village board of the same, including planners' comments.
I'll second.
all right, motion is made by Joe, seconded by Sherry. Hearing, is there any additional discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Item 2 is the certified survey map to combine the parcels located at W 270 N 6196 Moraine Drive, the Lisbon tax key number of 0258.999.001 and W 270 N 6166 Moraine Drive, Lisbon tax key number 0261.999, and recommendation to the village board of the same. So Aaron, you didn't really talk about this specifically as much, so and you have a separate presentation here, anything to highlight or present?
Just, there was a question if all of the golf course parcels were going to be combined, and the answer is no. What's being proposed is combining this, approximately 2-acre parcel with the parcel to the north, which houses the main clubhouse building, if you will. So that's what's going to be combined with this certified survey map.
Form a new, almost 21-acre parcel.
Correct.
All right, any discussion, Mitch?
We completed a review, a tactical review of the CSM, and we did see that the floodplain does encroach on the south east corner of the parcel being added to the parent parcel. So we just recommended that they show that floodplain and the 2-foot vertical offset for that floodplain, which is required.
This is just the absolute corner there, it looks like.
It's just on the very corner of that, unfortunately.
This is from the irrigation pond, is that effectively what we're
Yep, it's
talking about?
it's from that pond, but it's shown on the county's GIS that there is a floodplain in that area that comes off the pond.
So any motion to approve the CSM would be, we would like to see a contingent upon that being added to the
Correct.
CSM.
That's correct.
All right, any discussion, or is there a motion?
W 270 north 6196 Marine Drive, LSBT 0258999001, W 270 north 6166 Marine Drive, LSBT 02619999. And recommendation of the village board of the same, including planners and engineers.
I'll second.
All right, And those are comments obviously and specifically include the floodplain being added. Right, right. I'm saying that, yes. So any additional discussion? Hearing no additional discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Right, motion carries 6-0. And item 5A3 is amendments to the existing conditional use permit for the golf course, restaurant and tavern for Ironwood Golf Course located at W270 and 6166 Moraine Drive to attach and include the neighboring 2.1 acre parcel located at W270 and 6196 Moraine Drive. Lisbon taxi number 0258.999.001. Any discussion, or is there a motion on the conditional use permit?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use amendment request for John Spitz for the Ironwood Golf Course property located at West 270 North 6166 Moraine Drive, subject to the planner's comments and conditions.
I'll second.
Who was the second?
It was Rob.
Thank you.
Motion was made by Sherry, seconded by Rob. Any additional discussion? Hearing no additional discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Then item 4 is the amendment to the existing site plan and plan of operation for Ironwood Golf Course. Located at the same address to attach the 2.1 acre parcel. Located at W270 and 6196 Moraine Drive, Lisbon taxi number 0258.999.001 for golf course purposes. So is there a motion on the site plan and plan of operation?
I can make that motion basically to approve the amendment to the existing site plan of operation for the Ironwood Golf Course, West 270 North 6166 Moraine Drive, with attachment to the neighboring 2.1 acre parcel, which is West 270 North 6196 Moraine Drive, LSBT 00258.999.001 for golf course purposes, contingent on planner and engineer conditions laid out.
Second to that motion?
I'll second.
Right, motion was made by Sean, seconded by Rob. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Right, motion carries 6-0. Right, so I think you're set. You're certainly welcome to stay. We're gonna move on to the next item. Anything else you'll be in contact?
Nope, just give us a call at Village Hall tomorrow morning.
All right, item 5B is discussion and necessary action regarding the renewal of the annual mobile home park license and recommendation to the village board of the same.
So in your packets is a memorandum, just giving a rough outline that this is a renewal of the annual mobile home park license. Plan Commission must make a recommendation to the village board before the village board can approve their license renewal. American Mobile Home Communities has paid their annual license fee. They've provided all of the required information, including the bond from their insurance carrier, and I ask for your approval. There is a suggested motion at the bottom of the memorandum.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual mobile home park license for American Mobile Home Communities for the 2025-26 license year and recommendation to village board for same.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, so motion is made by Sherry, seconded by Sean. Is there any discussion?
No.
All right, hearing no additional discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion carries 6-0. Item C is discussion and necessary action to assign the annual quarry inspections.
All right, I've got this one too. Do have a couple new faces, so I will briefly go over the procedures for the annual inspections. Every year, the quarries get a mineral extraction permit. Because quarries are a conditional use, Lisbon has historically done inspections of the quarries each year to verify that they are following their conditional use permit and site plan of operation that is on file with Village Hall. You should, if you do not, I will pass these out. A listing of each of the quarries. We've got Land and Stone Products has 4 locations. Stark Pavement has an asphalt batch plant at one of the LSP locations. Genesee Aggregate has 3 locations, 2 of which are dormant. Wholesome US has the former Lafarge quarry, Colgate Aggregates. Payne and Dolan has the K&N Aggregates pit, and Hellquist has the Ideal Quarry. I will hand these out along with the procedure list, and then we will ask for volunteers to conduct the inspections.
You can put me on for K and N.
Rob, this is new to you. Is everyone else has done these in the past, I assume? All right.
I'll take the Genesee Aggregate one.
All right, hang on.
Does Kurt get the one that's left automatic?
And I'll take K and N.
No, he gets spared, but he can ride along.
I could take Lafarge Wholesome if that's okay with you, Joe, and what you want.
Sorry, Sherry, which one did you want?
K and N.
Okay.
All right, so Sherry's doing K&N, did I hear, for Payne and Dolan? And Mr. Eberly, which one did you say you would like?
He said Brian was gonna take that one. Is that what you?
I didn't hear a squeaky little voice.
All right, who wants to hit the 4 Land and Stone locations? We could also try and squeeze Stark Pavement in there, since whoever takes it will be at LSP already.
I can do it, that's fine.
All right, so Rob's gonna do those.
I could do Lafarge and Wholesome.
All right, Sean, I've got you for Lafarge, and Brian, does that mean you're gonna take Hellquist? All right, let me just give a quick review. All right, so the 4 Land and Stone locations and Stark Pavement will go to Trustee Baum. Genesee Aggregates 3 locations is gonna go to Commissioner Eberly. Wholesome Lafarge, Sean, that's gonna be you. Payne and Dolan is gonna be Sherry, and then Hellquist is going to be Brian. Is that correct? All right, come.
For the record, I was going to, as a gesture, take potentially all of these, and I was talked out of it and talked down, and then I talked out of it done. So I appreciate it, but if something happens or you need me to take one over, by all means, let me know.
Not too late.
Talk you out of it.
I have done a lot of them in the past, and they're obviously, they're good businesses with Lisbon, and it's good to, I was thinking maybe reintroduce myself to some of them, or probably there's new operators or new point people at some of these as well, so. But obviously I'll be reaching out to them separately, some of them separately, and not doing the inspections.
All right, I do have your materials packets for your assigned quarries, so if you'll each come and see me, I will hand you your packets after we adjourn the meeting.
This
I
was
was
agenda as
prepared this year.
as a discussion and action item, but I guess it's really not, right? So okay, all right.
Nope, we got our volunteers.
Being in the Army, you're volunteering.
So item 6 is the planner report.
So this is when I let you know what we're in for our next meeting. So we've got applications for rezoning at Alpine Hills from Newman. We will have the CSM for the Horn property and the preliminary plat for the subdivision from Newman, which they're calling Homestead Ridge. And then we'll have a site plan of operation for the high school for a storage building expansion. And we may have another CSM. So that's what's in store for next month.
What was that second to last one?
Hamilton High School, a site plan of operation amendment for a storage garage expansion.
Any questions for Orin? All right, item 7 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, third, fourth.
Motion was made by Joe, seconded by Rob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Out at 7:21.
All right.
How you doing?